All right, Madam Chairman, I suppose we can get started.
Yes, busy, pretty. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome. We'll call this meeting to order. And do we have a motion to acknowledge the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a
Sorry.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Morning, Dwayne.
Good morning, supervisors. Trust everybody's doing well today? Yes.
I brought your weekly packet of our report of what we've got going on. The shop, office, and break room, furnace and air conditioning unit is on its last leg. So we're going to replace that here in the near future. I've got the quote from Fiddler Heating. We can take care of that. $6,870. So hopefully here before it gets too cold, we'll have that installed so that folks over there don't get too chilly and the pipes don't freeze. Weekly accomplishments are fairly routine. They are working on the $125th bridge yet with Iowa Bridge and Culvert. They finished half of it last week. They should get the other half finished this coming week. And then our forces are up on Nutmeg this week, installing Mahogany, installing the riprap underneath the bridge that we had. Iowa Bridge do the pier repairs on, so that we'll get that work weather safe and basically bring the riprap up above the elevation of those pier cap or pier base repairs. Maintain more of a flat profile under the bridge, and they're notching those in so that it inhibits further erosion down the road. So we'll maintain that base level for the stream bed through there and not have further erosion and wear and tear on those piers for that bridge. Got a bunch of ditching done and basically waiting for Mother Nature to drop snow on us.
You know, they had 9 inches up in Mason City.
We don't want that here.
I want to see it.
Thanks, Southern boys.
We should buy them a shovel.
Okay, and I've got the updated county budget through the end of November now, or for our budget. You will notice that we are at about 75% of our surface maintenance. My anticipation is that we will probably blow through that by
Before March.
We'll blow through our budget on that. The surface maintenance, depending on how the winter hits us. You know, if there's a lot of snow and it stays frozen, that'll tail off for a while, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that at 125% of budget by the end of the fiscal year. We have the funds because our construction budget is so low, and we had more carryover than we accounted for and was accounted for in the budget. So we're not at any risk of running short of funding.
Speaking of budget, and I'm asking you, Melissa, too. When we signed your letter of agreement and you hired, part of it was he gets a raise January 1. So whatever paperwork we need to do, could you please put on the agenda for next week? Whether it's a resolution or whatever.
I do have something already in my folder, so let me check with Abby and Shannon and see.
What we procedurally, I just want to make sure that gets in place.
Well, heck, the guys in the office told me that you called them and told them not to order my business card.
What? Ooh.
They must have been jerking my chain.
I just didn't want to show up the first week of January and Dwayne would be going, remember? We actually do remember. Dwayne.
Well, very
Yes.
good.
We do.
Also, we're proceeding on Pleasant Plain and Batavia. They've got the floors in, they're wired for floor, plumbed for floor heat. Right now, they're putting windows in, and then we've got a delay on the spray foam insulation. They're having
Contractor.
Yeah, material supply issues. So as soon as that gets done, as soon as they get their material in, we'll get them scheduled in and allow us to continue moving forward with those items. I don't really have anything else to call your attention to on the budget, but I'll look through it. If there's any questions, get a hold of me and I'll do what I can to answer them.
Well, we appreciate all you're doing in the communication. Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. The last item I have is I brought over the check plans for our H33 32nd Street extension project for next year. French Reniker have those completed. They'll get them submitted to the DOT this week. Everything looked pretty good to me on what we planned, what I want to do on that street. We've added patching, as we've discussed, to help the road last longer. And also something we did on that is every 1,000 feet or so, we're doing a full depth, full width asphalt patch so that pavement slab underneath our rehabilitation can flex a little bit so we don't end up with blow-ups coming up underneath our new pavement. And that's pretty much all I have. I was out sick towards the end of last week, so I'm still playing a little catch up. So there may be things that I didn't pick up on.
I'm glad to see these.
Thank you.
Yes,
This has
thank
been a
you
long
very
time
much.
coming.
It should have been done last summer with the
Before
other
your time.
project.
And we're trying to get check plans ready for January submission for Nutmeg.
Good,
So
good.
we're trying to pin down the BNSF Railroad because we need paperwork for them for crossing underneath their right of way.
Good luck.
So that's our delay.
Yeah, well, yeah, the railroad's always your delay.
So who do you have to contact there?
Well, we've dealt with the local superintendent, I think it's Steve Pumphrey.
Mhm.
Nice guy, but he's busy, so trying to get paperwork. He's not the guy who generates the paperwork, so I contacted the DOT and they gave me the contact information for the state officer, so I'm trying to pin him down.
Yeah,
Hopefully that's on my agenda for after today's meeting.
Can the local guy here help you connect?
Not really. I think he's tried, but
No, I understand.
it'll take the regional engineer to really do anything
Yeah,
for
they just-
you, and you're gonna have to work your way up the ladder to get to him. I think he came out of Chicago at one point in time, but I know the one.
So I need to send him a letter with the 50?
Yeah.
No, I'm sure that's not the case. And then tomorrow I will be out of the office. It's my wife's birthday.
Hey,
She still likes having me around every now and again. And then toward the end of the week, Thomas and I will be over at the State County Engineers Convention
Where's that at?
over in Des Moines. They have it at the event center.
oh, they moved it there.
Yeah. It's been a couple of 3 years now.
Yeah.
But I'll have my email, so if there's anything, I'll be checking my phone. So if there's
Which
anything-
days next week?
Or this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, you'll have all sorts of knowledge for us next week.
I wouldn't go that far. Hopefully I'll pick up a nugget or two.
Good.
Well, tell Jake and Jacob, thank you for their help.
I will do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Sure, I'll
told them,
do
but I'm sure you'll see them.
Mhm. And I think that's all I have, folks.
Okay. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thanks. All righty, refund to Pathfinders, Darren.
Yeah, we had a large water leak over at the DHS building. And Pathfinders, who rents part of the building from us, has an agreement to pay 1/3 of all the utility expenses that come to the building. But in this case, the excess water that was used was not caused by them in any way. So the bill that was very high for us, they paid $139.79. Their average monthly is $23.50 for water. So I'm asking that the board authorize rebating back to Pathfinder's $116.29 for the excess of water that we know now probably went through a toilet in the basement underneath DHS itself, that Pathfinders has no access to. So
Okay, so we have a motion for this.
I would make that a motion.
I would second that. motion.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is DHS gonna be responsible for the rest?
Yeah, they are. They're responsible for their portion.
But that comes out of our budget. I mean, we budget for it.
We
anyway.
budget for
So
DHS's
essentially-
water bills.
So essentially, we are paying for the water.
Right.
Essentially,
The county taxpayers are paying for that. Because by the state code, we provide the office expense for DHS and space.
So in other words, they could turn a faucet on and let it run for a week, and we are responsible.
our budget would be responsible for it.
Want to point that out?
Okay, moving on, discuss and consider Pathfinder's
Did we
20.
vote on that?
Oh,
No,
Did we
you
vote?
haven't
I'm
called for the
sorry.
vote.
I'm sorry. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. That's because I was trying to print what I was going to print before the meeting and the computer didn't work. And I don't think the printer did either because I tried Friday. I think I sent you the 2080 from Pathfinders, and if you haven't had time, if you want to delay that, we can delay that so you can read it because I don't want you to be rushed. We've seen drafts of it. I just got it in the last week again.
I just looked at my emails. I don't think I have that, but I'll look again.
Max.
Forwarded it on
Right.
12. Let me see.
Let's see.
Did you get it on 12/7?
No, did not. Got nothing on 12/7 from D Sandquist. The last thing I got was from December 6th, action needed by all counties on the opioid stuff.
Yeah, well, Chauncey's looking at that because, you know. Okay, so let's delay this to make sure you have time to look at that.
Yeah, that would be
Okay,
nice.
so that will be on the agenda next week, correct?
Yeah, either that or right after the first of the year. We already have quite a bit of stuff next week, and this is something we need to do, but it's not that time sensitive, you know, if we get it the first part of January. So we'll table that. Discuss and consider water heater and inline water pump at public health.
I thought she
And
said,
that's, we don't need to do that because that's been taken care of. She took care of that. Okay, and going back to Pathfinders and also the opioid, part of the reason those are going slower is, as you're well aware, there was some email issues with getting things reviewed last week. So
right,
as soon
Right.
as I get all those, the opioid, I was on another webinar Friday about that, and so that'll be coming, and depending what Chauncey says when I hear back from him, we may schedule a meeting at the end of the week. I don't know how long that'll take, but we have 4 documents. I think it's either 3 or 4 we have to approve. Every county has to approve it because if we don't, it affects what the state of Iowa gets. This is a class action lawsuit that's been going on nationally, and they finally got it settled. So that's the short Reader's Digest version. And as soon as I get back from Chauncey, we'll either do this next week or maybe the end of this week, depending on things, because it needs to be done. Because everything needs to be completely done and in to the national by January 2nd. So given the holiday schedules. Okay, discuss and consider HR. And that you do have in your packet. And there's a couple options there. And let's see. This one will go January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. The agreement will be automatically renewed thereafter for a 2.5-year period to get us on the fiscal year. We can change that if we want. And that's the copy in our packet from January 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025. So.
Has Johnson looked at this?
Pretty sure, well, yeah, he was here.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't sure after we got this, the back side of this page, if you looked at that.
I think so. I didn't get any emails from him, but I talked to him and I don't know, we can call him if you want. Is Pat on?
No, there is nobody with us this morning.
So where did I my phone?
Not even Mary Ann.
Must still be asleep.
No.
No, computer issues first thing, watch kind of took everything. All chances of being organized.
Water.
And,
Water.
Is this one the HR?
Yes, that one's the HR.
Happy to have that one under Pathfinder.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
Okay, I got
I
confused.
know, we're off.
Hey, Chauncey, we're in our meeting and that HR agreement, are you okay with that? I'm gonna put you on speaker. Is that okay? Okay, yeah, just come on over. We'll go to something else and go back. He's coming over.
Okay.
All right. So county discuss and consider county compensation commission.
I was asked to contact a couple of people about taking positions on the county compensation commission. The compensation commission coming up over the next couple of years will be pretty busy, I would think, because of the pipeline coming through and properties that may be involved with needing that type of service. And I'm proposing as one of the auctioneers, Ted Deers. And then as one of the realtors, Candy Deers. And I've spoken with both of them and they both agreed that they would want to do that. So those are two names. They're from Lockridge.
Are they related?
They're husband and wife.
Good.
So
Is that okay?
it apparently is because it's been the case over the years, the Hayeses and
Okay.
others. So I didn't see that there would be any problem with doing something like that.
Sure.
So,
I like the fact that they're from Lockridge and the pipeline's over that way.
well,
That is a good idea.
yeah, they're out away from it, but they're also from another small town and we didn't have very many people from smaller
Good job.
No,
communities
I
around.
agree with
So-
that, Darren.
Okay.
So, all
Yeah.
right. All right, well, they've given me their contact information. I'll make sure that I get that passed along to Shannon. I think I already have at this point, but she'll be able to put that into the list of names that she has and be able to contact them if needed. And I got phone numbers and emails
Okay.
for them and their address, physical address. So
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so do we have a motion?
I would make a motion that we have Ted and Candy Deers as members of the Compensation Commission.
Let's have that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, now discuss and consider HR. Good morning, Chauncey. Thanks
Good
for
morning.
being here.
So yeah, I think we've had a couple of proposals for HR contract services, but not particularly, well, it's along similar lines to other people we've talked to. I think in the interview, showed us what the services we should be able to help the county with. A benefit of the contract, I think, is that it has the opt-out clause after a year if the performances aren't what we're looking for. It's a 3-year contract with a 1-year kind of termination if things aren't going well. So certainly lowers the risk to the county if we have that. We're not stuck with the service we don't really want for 3 years. The benefit of the contractor is that, you know, it limits the exposure to the county because you don't have an actual HR employee that's somebody who's paying that employee. So contract is good. Yes. Why carry forward?
All right.
Thank you, Jensen.
Yes, thank you, Chauncey.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on this? Is there a motion?
I know that we're in need of it. I know that we have a little bit of funding right now that we could use for something like this. I know that over the last few years, there was not much activity with Bob Breckenridge, who we had been having do our HR work. And I think it's time that we move forward and get a little bit closer to home with what we're doing with it here and a little more attention to some of the details that got left behind that left us with a case where we hadn't had an updated handbook since 2013, I believe it was, before we got to the one this past year and a half ago. So I would make a motion that we go ahead and contract with Iowa Negotiation Services LLC, doing business as negotiation and consulting services.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And I just want to verify that this goes January 1st, 2022 to the 31st, and then at that time, it'll be automatically renewed for a 2.5-year period from the January 21st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025. Okay, so,
And the compensation for this is $10,200 per year.
right, or $850 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. It's December, what, 13th?
Yeah, Dee, I would ask that when this gentleman takes this position, we should have him come and talk, explain himself and introduce himself to the department heads.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's quite reasonable. All right. How many copies you need, Melissa?
Just the one, I would think.
So I can give them to you.
Sure.
Sometimes I like to. Sure. Okay, we have committee reports.
All right. I had two committee meetings last week on Wednesday. In the morning was the 8th Judicial District meeting held here in Fairfield. We went over what the funding was and where they were at with their dollars for the final quarter of the annual year. Puts them at halfway through the fiscal year for them. They're setting in really good shape when it comes to that. Facilities update over there, the new lease that they signed for the building is going really well, and some of the stuff that they had asked for to be done with the new lease is being taken care of by FIDA, who owns the building. We'll have another meeting coming up on January 12th, which is a beginning of the year organizational meeting that we always carry over. The second meeting was after I got done with that one, I drove over to Mount Pleasant. We had our meeting for the rest board. The big report is that the person that we had agreed to a month ago to allow them to try to catch up on their payments came through with the preliminary payments that they said that they were going to come up with, and met the deadlines on those. So that showed promise from this particular property owner that is terribly behind. And it would allow us to reinstall the service again, because they're going to make a monthly payment to the debt as well as their monthly sewer usage payment that they always make. And they have to continue to do that until the in arrears is caught up, and that will take some time, but at least this person showed that they could come up with what they said they could initially, and the board said that that was fine. We'll continue to do that. Again, we got another report on the new pump truck that we just purchased for pumping out septic systems and then transporting that to be disposed of properly. The truck is just fantastic. It's been working almost nonstop since they purchased it. And it's really great that when somebody calls and says, we need this service, they can say, sure, we can be out there at this time. Previously, they had a truck that was very unreliable and hard to service, and they had spent quite a bit of money on it to begin with, and it didn't last like it should. But this new truck is in really good condition. It has a brand new tank on the back of it, brand new pumps, and all of the equipment that goes along with it. And it's a really good asset for them. And again, in the first month of using it, they've done almost half of what they did a year prior with the other truck already in just 1 month. So, they don't have to turn people away. They don't have to say, well, the truck's down, we should have it back at a particular time, that kind of thing. But it's moved right in a positive direction. So we feel good about that.
I had met with Tony Webb for the Madison Barn Christmas decorations and stuff. And I guess that I'd like to report that went over very well with the public. A lot of kids got to go out there, and that's all I have to report.
Quite a few meetings Monday at Pathfinders, and they're doing quite a bit of mine reclamation. And some water trails in Van Buren County that also, as Sean was here last week, Brittany's taken advantage of that. So that's a good thing. So they help get money and coordinate all that And so that was good. One second. Two new pieces of paper.
And say we need to get their desk.
They've got Mormon Trail Activity Book has been sent to printers. I'm just gonna hit some highlights. Historic Hills Scenic Byway Audio Tour received a grant from Davis County Foundation to work with that. They help coordinate the Historic Hills Scenic Byway. Some fees for service projects, Regional Conservation Partnership Program agreements have finally been signed. This has been a long time in coming. Pathfinders is the official point of contact. And that is going to be, it's working with IDOLS and an RCS for water quality. And that's a pretty large grant. They wrote a grant and received for the Wapello State Park, Friends of Wapello. Down in that park, writing a grant for Lacey State Park, several others. One for Fairfield for the water sewer treatment submitted. They're working on a new grant for the fire station.
One that they're looking for.
Yeah, correct. Bloomfield is for some broadband, working on one of that. So a lot of different things. Their fiscal agents for DHS and DCAP for and the abandoned mine reclamation. That's quite the deal. A lot of those are over in the western part of the region, as you're well aware, but basically, because we have there's over 300 sites in Iowa, over 13,000 acres, 250 are reclaimed, and it costs $27,000 per acre to reclaim those. And this is all done, with grant funding. And it's very fragile even after it's reclaimed. So it's not like you can go in and plant anything major on it. It just has some vegetation and things like that. And
If I recall, we have a reclamation project like was done years ago up in the Pekin area. Up there was a coal mine in that portion of the county, and this type of project went on in it, but that would have been prior to me even getting here in 1988. So it's been done for years and years, probably included in that 200 and some that have already been taken care of.
And they anticipate, we haven't heard officially, but the word is with the infrastructure bill, there'll be more money to do more of those. And so Pathfinders is really one of the key organizations doing that in the state. And they also provide low interest loans, about 4% to companies. And there's a couple in town that they've done that really can't get loans elsewhere. And the loans they do are usually under 20,000. So they're not huge loans, but they help some of these small businesses get going. So anyway, then I had seal on Wednesday. And that was always an adventure this time of year. They were actually able to coordinate and had 2 representatives from DHS on because of the passing of the new, bill.
Combination of mental health and DHS
Well,
services.
there's nothing official on that yet. We're all kind of waiting to see where that's going. And public health, because I talked to Chris about that Friday to see, all that's somewhere up in Des Moines being discussed. what I find disappointing is it doesn't seem like many people on the ground that do the work are being involved in those decisions. But as far as the new bill goes, it looks like the writing is probably on the wall to, unless something major happens in legislation, that county employees will either all have to go under one county or become regional employees. Seal does not want to have regional employees, never has, because that's a whole different administrative structure. You basically have to duplicate things that we're doing now. We're also concerned that it gets rid of having a local face potentially for mental health. And so that's a concern, and we voiced all those. We had invited several legislators. Joe Mitchell was the only one that attended. So he got an earful, of course, but the reality is the things that need to be fixed in that law usually are not fixed by the time our budgets are due.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work being done. I know the auditors are getting a lot of information from the Department of Management. DHS is giving information to the regions. There's going to be a lot of work on how we're going to pay Sandy and Leah, because their Fund 10 went away. It was going away. That is not yet resolved. So there's still a lot of work to be done in a short amount of time, and a lot of questions more than answers. But it was good to actually have somebody from DHS
Present.
present. They were on Zoom, but they were there, they were engaged. How far it goes, my personal opinion, and this is my personal opinion by reading the tea leaves, I think it's kind of a done deal probably, but we'll see. Unless they can get
As
the
usual.
legislature to change their mind. I went to 2 local related but different meetings about mental health. One was a group of providers, and one was a group of people that want to be able to help. Most likely after the first of the year, there's going to be some kind of a community event with somebody from outside that is going to present on communities that have had a lot of trauma going on. So we will all be hearing more about that.
Who locally is on
Which group?
the last one?
The last one, Mark Dwyer and Julie Mandarino called me, wanted some input. They called Connie. They got Dr. Knoll involved. And so we'll see where that goes. I did a webinar on the opioid settlement thing, and again, sent that to Chauncey again. Hopefully he has it by now so that we can get that resolved next week. Did a little bit of research on if we want Brett. He talked a little bit about an EMA grant for security for doors. And so what I found on there would be one, of public health, because Chris would want to include it in that. The sheriff would be 4, Chauncey's office 3 and 2 here. So that's what that would involve if we chose to apply for that. And I think that's it.
Did we want to talk a little bit about the pipeline meeting?
Yeah, oh yeah,
that,
Darren and I went to
we
that.
attended last
Yeah,
Thursday.
we did. Well, I don't know what your thoughts are. I was glad I went.
I am too.
It was mostly farmers. There were 2 people or maybe 3 that were not, but mostly it was farmers who were not very much in favor of it, was my takeaway, because most of them had just had a pipeline come through their land in the last 5 years. Is that what your takeaway was?
Yeah, my takeaway was that the biggest problem that most of the farmers were talking about, number one, the Iowa Utilities Board has these meetings set up after the meetings are over with. If the contractor has supplied the proper information to the group, then they allow them to go out and start purchasing right away. But the final approval for the pipeline coming through won't be done until all of the right-of-way purchase has been done. And it is an easement. There will be compensation back to the property owners. The second concern, though, is that there has been a lot of problems trying to get the previous contractors to come back and repair some of the ground that was disturbed. They would dig deep trenches to put in the pipe and then just put the dirt back in. And of course, when you remove a lot of dirt and put it back, while it looks like it's going to be all in place, it will shrink farther than what it did when it came out of the ground. Usually there's a 25% shrinkage rate that needs to be calculated in, and add dirt to make up that so that everything settles back into a proper location. But I've heard from a couple of property owners that they've got some real disappointment with what's been happening with their ground since the pipeline came through the last time around. And so that was brought up at the meeting. There's, again, the big concern is that it doesn't make sense to some people that the utilities board would say, go ahead and purchase easements without actually approving the fact that the project can move forward. The reason behind that is they need to know that corridor that the project is going to go through. And so they're doing 36 or 37 of these meetings. They've done approximately half of them to this point. So there is a lot of right-of-way being purchased now in other counties across our state. And they still have more to go through yet. So this pipeline is going to carry liquid CO2 from different ethanol plant locations in Nebraska and northwest Iowa and Kansas, and then bring that across through the state of Iowa to a location in Illinois, where there is a rock formation down about 10,000 feet, and they can inject the material down into that rock formation. It will then be contained within it because of the type of rock material that it is and its stability. And hopefully over the next 100 to 1,000,000 years, either 100 years or 1,000,000 years, it will actually absorb itself back into the rock formation that's there. CO2 usually is burned off at these, released at ethanol plants because it's byproduct of the processing that goes on. What they do is they remove the water as much as they can from it, which turns the CO2 into a liquid form, which then they can put through this pipe, and they push it at a higher pressure. It's a high pressure pipe. That's why they can't bore it in through some areas where you wouldn't want things to be disturbed, because you have to have specific welded joints done in a way that can only be done outside the ground and then put into the location. So they were pretty good at the information that they put out. I had an opportunity to talk to the contractor that's going to be doing the land easement acquisition, coming through and talking to the property owners. And again, it was explained that since the county doesn't have any zoning, there isn't really anything that the county can do as far as where they can restrict some of this type of work being done. And they're really trying hard to run parallel with the existing easement that was purchased the last time around. They're going to purchase between 50 and 75 foot of easement from property owners, depending on the depth of the pipe and what's going on. They'll also purchase and use temporary easements for staging of materials along through the area, so that Once they're done, that temporary easement will be turned back over to the property owner and won't be an easement any longer beyond that point. But as with all easements, there's restrictions as to whether you can build new buildings out in the area that would be near or on top of the easement. You have to try to identify where all your tile lines would be at, because they'll be replaced or changed, diverted to a different location. Tiles range from clay tiles that are in some locations that are older, the new perforated plastic tiles, PVC tiles. They're out there as well. So it was a great meeting overall. I think Dee got the same kind of feeling from everything that I did, but that's kind of a synopsis of what happened in that hour and a half,
Well,
almost 2 hour meeting.
And a couple of them pointed out, this land it gets disturbed and it's never going to be the same.
Right.
Even though they bring it on the surface back, the weather changes that we've had as far as the heavy rains and all that is pretty rough on the land anyway, let alone some that's been really misplaced and put back.
Yeah, and I think some of the biggest concerns evolved around going through terraced areas where they have to dig through the terrace. And then when they put things back, that terracing isn't the same. That's where they're having problems with settling, and then the terrace has to be reconstructed after that time. And the drain tiles, like I said, that was a big issue on the previous one, because I had heard property owners talk about that.
Yeah, so Friday I did call my representative and share basically that it was mostly farmers and basically what was said, and he was pretty appreciative to get that feedback, because I think he was surprised. So. Any public comments? I don't think we have any public.
No, we don't have anybody on today.
All right. Public. Allow claims and approve reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nuisance?
Not at this particular point in time. We're still doing some research as far as the request for a hearing from Nathan Harriman is concerned. We have to find out when he was actually served with the papers for those, because he has 30 days from that service notice to get a request for a hearing of the board. Once he's received that other service notice. But this is concerning the second round of where we're moving right now with the legal end of trying to get the property cleaned up. So, and again, I'm going to make the comment that here 3 weeks ago, when I was out there, there was a ton of vehicles out in the front yard and a lot of scrap and all of that. Here this last week, when I drove out by there, a lot of stuff has been taken off the property. A lot of the cars are gone. Either he's moved way to the back of the property again to kind of hide them, or he is actually turning them over like he's told everybody that that's what he does. That still doesn't mean that he has the proper documentation from the DOT to become a scrapyard. Kind of a setup out there. Auto recycling is what they call it. They do have permits that you have to get from the DOT licensing in order to be able to be in that business. You just can't start buying junk cars and strip them down and try to get rid of them from there on your own. You have to follow a specific guideline in order to do that. So we hopefully will find out more of that when we get to a hearing. In the past, he hasn't shown up to hearings. I don't have a lot of faith that he'll show up for this one if we even set it up and call him on his personal cell phone, which he gave us a phone number to. but we'll move ahead with whatever has happened. If he gets it within the time frame, then we're obligated to make sure that we allow that to happen. But again, this is all round two. Fines are larger this time. Previously, the first fine is usually $750. The second fine is $1,000, I believe. And then it would go up from there until at some point we actually have to put a final legal end to a problem. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, motion adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.